The name of the chapter is Business Services. First of all, we will understand the meaning of services. It is possible for us to understand the meaning of services if we compare it with goods. Suppose we go to the market and purchase a mobile phone. We can see the mobile phone, we can touch the mobile phone, as the mobile phone has its physical existence. So goods are tangible. Tangible means having physical existence. On the other hand, services are intangible. Intangible means when a thing does not has its physical existence. We cannot see the services. We can only feel the services. When a patient visits a doctor provides him advices or consultation. He is providing his services. Can you see his services? No, we cannot see. So the services are intangible. Another example of services is if we go to the company secretary and seek his consultation as we want to open a company. He tells us the various formalities which we will have to comply with if we want to open a company. Can you see his consultation? No, we can only understand, only feel. So, services are those which provide us satisfaction. Now we understand the characteristics or features of services. Its features are intangibility, inconsistency, inventory, involvement, and inseparability. We will understand each of its feature one by one in detail. Nature of services. There are five basic features of services. These features distinguish the services from goods, and these five features are also known as five eyes of services. Now we will discuss these features one by one. First is intangibility. The physical products like a television, mobile phone, shirt, ice cream, etc. are tangible in nature. Why we call them tangible? Because we can see, touch, hear, smell, or taste them before buying it. But the services are intangible. We cannot see, touch, taste, and smell services. Services do not have physical existence. One can only feel or experience it. Examples of services are the services of a doctor, of a chartered accountant, or company secretary, etc. Intangibility of services creates problems for marketing as it is difficult to make the consumer convinced about the qualities of services. Suppose if you go to the market to buy a shirt, you can touch the shirt and feel that whether it is of cotton or of silk, whether it is of premium quality or lower quality. But when someone approaches you to buy his services, for example, for insurance, you cannot feel it, you cannot touch it, the insurance, or see it. So it is very difficult to sell the or market the products like insurance. So a lot of depends on the reputation of the service provider when someone approaches you for a service. Next feature of service is inconsistency. Physical goods are produced with a high degree of standardization. Suppose we go to the market to buy a soap named Pierce. Pierce is a soap, and each Pierce soap has its own standardization. Its color will be same, its smell will be same if you buy the same type of product. because the companies produce the same product with high degree of standardization. We will not find that the peer soap is having different type of shapes if it is of same color or same quantity. But this type of standardization or similarity is not possible in the case of services. Services have to be performed exclusively each time. If you go to the doctor, whether the doctor will have its services standardized, because on one day you may be suffering from fever while the other patient may be suffering from headache, so he will have to give his consultation or give his services according to the problem being suffered by the patient. So different customers have different demands and different expectations. Services are provided as per the needs and requirements of the client. If a person goes to an advocate for consultation with regard to his dispute with his tenant, the advocate will give his advice accordingly. If a person goes to the advocate in regard to his dispute with his neighbors, the advocate will give his advice accordingly. We may also approach a chartered accountant for different services. It is also possible that if we approach the same chartered accountant, we may experience different service on two different occasions, because it is quite possible that on one day he is having some dispute with another client, or on the another day he is very happy because he has earned a good client. So we may experience the different type of service experience on two different occasions from a same professional, depending on his mood and pressure of time of the day when the interaction is taking place. It is quite possible that if we approach a CA for his services during his busy time, he may not be able to provide us proper time. He may only provide a minimum time to us. So further, the quality of the services also depends on the fact which individual performs the services. It also depends of the nature of the person who is providing the service. So there is lot of inconsistency in the case of services. Next feature of services is inseparability. Goods are separable from their producers in terms of time and place. Suppose a TV is manufactured in Japan. It is then sent to India. Then it is sent to some another state, say Delhi. Then it is sent to some another market where the customer buys it. In the case of goods, production and consumption occurs on different dates, but services cannot be produced now for consumption later on. If a person approaches a doctor, he will give his consultation on the spot that he is to use this type of medicine, or he should not do this one. It is not possible for a doctor to standardize his services. He has to give his services on the spot, and we understand what the doctor says to us. We will understand his consultation properly. So production and consumption of services takes place at the same time. When we visit the doctor or other professionals, they create and offer services at the same time. Services are performed in the real time. When we approach a chartered accountant in connection with income tax or other purposes, he will give his advice on the spot, or may ask us to come on some other date. So services are performed in real time. It is not that we approach the chartered accountant and he will have a package of services and will give it to us and we will go away. Services are produced as and when demanded. Next is inventory. Goods can be stored, preserved for future selling. For example, most of the consumer durable companies like TV, AC manufacturers accumulate inventories prior to the arrival of festive season so that they can meet the demand when the festival season arrives. But in the case of services, services cannot be stored for future use or selling. For example, if we go to the airport, some seats may remain unoccupied in the airlines. We may go to the hotel or theaters. The unoccupied seats cannot be stored and they cannot be carried over to cater supply at the time of peak demand. Unused capacity, that is unoccupied seats in the case of airlines, theaters or hotels, is the business opportunity lost forever. The service has to be performed as and when the customer asks for it. They cannot be performed earlier to be consumed at a later date. Doctor or company secretary has to provide service as and when the client comes. The next feature of services is involvement. One of the most important characteristic of services is the participation of the customer in the service delivery process. A customer has the opportunity to get the services modified according to the specific requirements. Participation of both the parties, that is service provider as well as the client, is necessary. A doctor cannot give proper service if the patient does not tell him his illness correctly or remains silent. Another feature of service is ownership. If we go to the market and purchase something, the goods are sold by the shopkeeper. Then the ownership is also transferred and the buyer can resell that product. But in the case of services, the user has just an access to the service. If we go to a hotel and we stay in a hotel room, in that case, we only use their services. The ownership of the hotel or the hotel room rests with the service provider. We may also add that we have already uploaded various courses on the subjects like email writing, present tense, future tense, past tense, cyber security, most common mistakes in English grammar, letter writing, business studies, DBMS, and much more. You can look out for the same on Google, YouTube, Udemy, Tutorial Points, Affiliate, and other sites. Thanks for watching. If you like our course, please spare some time to give a star rating to our course.